Hey guys, so today I am going to be showing you how I die cut using my Cricut when you have a stamp set but you don't have the coordinating dies to go with it. I'm going to be using the Lawn Fawn September stamp set to demonstrate because when I bought this, I really wanted to get the entire set, the dies, the stamps, and the stencils, but I was too slow on the day it was released, and the only thing that was remaining was the stamp set. So let's get started. Before we stamp out our images to get them die cut, you want to make sure you cut out 1-inch circles. Now you can do this with either your Cricut or if you have a circle punch. They can be 1 inch or whatever size you want. I just like the 1-inch circles. So we're going to go ahead and get our images stamped out. I'm using Versamark black ink, as you can see. Give it a good press. And after you stamp out the image, you want to make sure that the circle does not touch any of the images. This will be really important later on. So after you stamp your images, you want to go ahead and get them into Design Space. Now you can either use the app, the Design Space app on your phone, or you can scan them in. I have a scanner, so I just went ahead and scanned them into Design Space. Once you get them into Design Space, you want to go to reduce colors and you want to change that to 2 because you only want the color of the paper and the black ink, and you want to reduce the color tolerance to 50. Now you don't want to do remove background, and I'm going to show you why. Because when you hit remove background, it won't remove everything that you need for some reason, and you kind of want to keep some of that paper color behind the stamp images. So instead of doing remove background, you want to just manually select what you want to remove. Go ahead and enlarge it a little bit to make sure there are no strays in the background, and use the brush just to brush over it a little bit. The next step is just to go ahead and do preview single layer. This will just turn everything one color so you can see if you missed anything when you try to get rid of the background. And you'll see later on that I actually did miss something, and I'll show you how to get rid of that. So just going over the stamp images with the erase brush just to make sure I didn't miss any of the background. And I'm just cleaning up the circle a little bit because I noticed that there was a weird shadow that I needed to get rid of to keep the circle perfectly, well, not perfectly round, but just as round as I can get it, to keep it close to that 1 inch. Okay, this looks good. So I'm going to just go ahead and apply and continue. And you don't want to bring it in as multiple layers. You want to bring it in as a flat graphic like you're going to print and cut. So now that we have our image in Design Space, you see it's really, really large. And this is where that 1-inch circle comes into play. So you want to go in and contour everything out except for the circle. And you can see I did miss something there when I was trying to erase, but just bring in the circle. And you want to go and size the circle to be 1 inch by 1 inch. And when you apply that, you'll see that all the other images become the correct. Now that we have our images the correct size, we are going to go ahead and create the die cuts for them. So you want to select the image that you want to work on first, going into contour, hide all contours, and select the image. And as you can see there, I noticed that the cat in the top left corner was not erased correctly, so I'm going to show you how to fix that later. There's also some type of artifact when I selected the cake. It looks like I didn't correctly erase the background, and here we go. There's little shapes there, but just contour that out. You don't want to resize this. You want to keep it the size that it is. And to make the die cut shape, you want to go into offset and just move it until you like the way it looks around the stamped image. Now I like mine to be 0.055 around. I find that the sweet spot for my images when I'm die cutting and stamping them this way. Now that you have the image offset, you want to remove the offset portion away from the stamped image. And you want to change the color. I like the color to be white just so it can be consistent all the way around. You then change the operation from print and cut to basic cut for the offset portion of the image. Bring a square onto the canvas and put the offset image onto the square. It can be behind or in front of the square. I just like it in front. Center and line it. And you want to select both of them and then select slice. This will give you two images or two offsets of that stamp image. Again, I'm going to change the color to white because that's just the way I like for it to look on the canvas. And that is going to be how you die cut that stamp image. You can go ahead and change the layer name. Since I have so many stamped images in this canvas, I went ahead and changed the label names on all of them. But you don't want to change the name on the stamp image. And you can group them all together once you're done. The next step is to go ahead and repeat that process on the other stamped images. You go into contour, you unselect the one you just worked on, you select another one, you offset the stamped image, you can change the color, change the offset from print and cut to basic cut, and add another square so you can have that template to put that offset image in. And you're just going to do that for the rest of the images in this set. Contour the image, offset, print and cut to basic cut, grab a square, select the offset and the square, slice it, bring them all together, rename them, and group them. And now to fix that one image that did not stamp correctly, you want to keep it as a print and cut. You go in and you just play around with the offset slider to see where that sweet spot is again for this one. I just ended up keeping it at my regular 0.055, maybe 56. And you can see in the middle of the image that it's trying to offset the lines on the inside of the cat. To fix that, you drag the offset off the stamp image and you go in and you contour out those little pieces that you don't want to just make it a solid image. And that's it. You then repeat the other steps as necessary. You offset, you select a square, change it to basic cut from print and cut, change the color, select them all, and slice. For the smaller pieces in a stamp set, I keep the process largely the same, except when it comes to placing it on the square. I don't give the smaller pieces an individual square for the die template. I put them all on the same square. I come back in and unhide the contoured shapes, make sure they're all grouped together, and hide them on the panel so that I can get ready to cut out the shapes with the Cricut. I cut them on a mat, and I try to keep the piece of paper to 8.5 by 11. For this initial step, I normally cut them out on the heaviest cardstock that I have. I think this is 100-pound or 110-pound cardstock, the ones that I use for my card bases. Okay, so after you do all of the cutting on your Cricut, you're going to be left with the cutouts here and the templates here. You want to keep these with the stamp so that you'll always have them. And these are your die cuts. So let's try to cut one. I am going to use the birthday cake one. So you want to put the template on your Misty or whatever you're using to cut. You want to pop the die in there. Just make sure it's the right way. And it's actually, let's see, here we go. You just want to make sure it's on there okay. It may or may not be perfect, just like when you're trying to die cut it if you had the die. Oopsies. Okay. Step this up. There you have it. This also works well when you want to make multiple cards. I'm actually going to stamp all 3 of these. If you want to make multiple cards and you need more than one of these stamped out. It was a little low. What happened? Let's try. Do I have another one? I thought I had 3 of each. I do. Still low. Let's clean this stamp off a little bit. Pop this back on there. There we are. And so there you have it. This is how I die cut my stamps when I don't have the matching die. So when you need more of the die cut pieces, you just go back into design space. You select the offset of the stamp that you need. You cut those out, and that's all you need. You won't need the template anymore because it should be in the bag or in the storage envelope where your stamps are. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, keep crafting your tiny stories.